Everybody, welcome back to Higher Density Living. You are here with your favorite or least favorite host. Who knows? Could be first time listening. I can't stand these guys, or it could be your multi-hundredth episode of being here with us.
Hey, but your free will. Guess what you can do? You can shut this shit off right now.
But you're still choosing to listen to it. So congratulations. Welcome to Higher Density Living and using your free will to learn something new about creational life, energy, and the universe.
Yeah.
Okay, Jason, bring us through. What are we going to talk about
First,
today?
I wanted to thank our sponsor, Tartle.co, as you can see behind us, TARTLE.co. You can sign up and earn money for your data.
Yeah. Put your data in a secure vault, like a bank account, and share it directly with companies. Get paid in cash for doing so. Your life, your data, your control. Thank you very much.
So I want to get into everybody loves. Some of our best episodes have been when we do talk about like secret societies.
Yeah, they're fun. So, they're fun.
Yeah, it's
fun. I do enjoy it.
But there's learning lessons, there's catalysts that we can learn from these and see how quickly things can turn badly.
Okay.
When we're trying to make something that is only I can be a part of and I'm elite. We're facing this right now.
So hierarchies?
Yeah, only I'm a part of and I'm elite and you're not allowed to be in unless you espouse these beliefs and you go through this ritual and then you do these things. I mean, we see this in the spiritual realm too.
I'm sorry, you're just talking about the Catholic Church?
all of them.
Oh, you're also...
Even, I was
Egyptian, you're talking about the Egyptian priesthood?
I was having yes.
Oh, you're talking about the Freemasons?
Yeah, I was even talking about now, like everybody's hopped up on this plant medicine thing and you have to go to these different places and stuff like that.
If I want to go.
I mean, that's fine if you want to get blasted and waking up your consciousness. But I was listening to somebody the other day and they were talking about,
or shit your brains out for like 6 hours on ayahuasca.
Yeah. They were talking about like how plant medicines have changed their life and help them. And for me, I'm not interested in that for the simple fact of this. I feel like internally I can change through my higher self. And it's me tapping into my higher self internally. And if plant medicine, that may be for you and that may be your spiritual journey, maybe being a Catholic mystic is for you or whatever. And that's the path that I'm not here to judge at all. And you do you. But, these things that we see whether it's a secret society, the Masons or whatever it may be, or, these elite communities, Davos, World Economic Forum, and so on and so forth.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about one today that started in the early 19th century called the Vril Society. Ooh. This is there was a lot of what's the little the little cakes you can eat and shit like that, and they're filled with cream from the old part of Germany. I want to say, but it's like Bavarian.
Oh yeah.
So for some reason, this little area, this Bavarian area, produced a lot of secret societies,
like BMW, Bavarian Motor Works. Right? Yeah.
So I mean, not only was there the Vril Society, there was the Thule Society, there was the Theosophic Society, and a lot of this we're going to see, like with the Vril Society, gets tagged into Nazis,
right? And
gets tagged into the occultic practice and stuff that the Nazis did. So let's see how we got there.
For one reason only. But go ahead.
So this group was made up of select group of individuals. Most of them, which is funny, were the elite and the high society. And you can almost picture, this is early 19th century, you could almost picture 20th century, the elite being bored and having these parties all the time. And then there's like this secret thing that you can do, and we're going to blindfold you and make you do all these things. And then we're going to make us seem special. Here's the cool part. So we're going to take a fictional book. This is much like Scientology. We're going to take a fictional book that was written by a guy called the Vrils about him going down into so the book was about this guy that gets he wrote it as fiction. There's occult practice and stuff like that about him going down under the ground. And then he saw this Aryan race. Part of it was done here in America. So part of it was Native American and the other one was like white Aryan, from Greenland.
Sure.
We'll get into all that whole with the ice and all that. But so these people are living down there. They have this green in the book. They have like this green goo that they use, this green energy called Vril, which is a Samaritan word for like the power of the gods.
Sure.
It's like Vril or something like that. And so then they turn around and they have these staffs. This reminds me of Egyptian stuff. They have these staffs, and then they can use this energy back and forth. But you had to be a part of this special Aryan race. And so this guy was down there. All the women began to fall in love with him.
Classic.
So these highly evolved, supposedly highly evolved real people.
They're like, ooh, this monkey.
Yeah, we want to get this guy out of here. So, they kick him out of their society. But, they're like this society, the lower conscious society, they controlled them, ruled over them, made them their slaves and all that. So you can already see in this subterranean paranormal world, and it was by, the British author's name was Edward Bulwer Lytton, and he wrote the book called, it was a novel, The Coming Race. And these were these underground people that lived, and we know about underground people. There's a thing with that. We've had several. We've talked about lizard people. We've talked about all those.
Talked about Gartha, the underground world in the Himalayas. Sure.
And so this energy source called Vril, there was a secret society that began in the late 1800s by a small group of individuals. It was a Bavarian secret society, and they had all these German death societies and stuff like that began to surface. Now, this is so weird to me. So you can imagine this elite society of these people, the people with the money, the descendants of royalty and all that, and they're getting together having these parties.
Sure.
One of the guys that was in this is so cool. I didn't realize this till here recently. One of the guys that was involved in this, and I wish I had his name, but I don't. He was a trickster, with mediums and stuff like that. So in his house, he's a rich dude, super influential. Everybody knew who he was. You're going to see
the things set up to make the tables float and shit.
Yeah, so his whole house was set up with pulleys and stuff like that. The doors would open and close. So people, these rich people would come into his house, and then he'd have a seance, door would close,
seances
tables would be moving.
They were huge at that time.
Yeah, and so, but he had it all trick set up. He also had a boat.
I didn't know this.
He also had a boat that you could go to, and all kinds of crazy sexual acts were done. Now, this is the crazy part. What he was doing is he was recording them in this time on recording devices, and then selling that information he was basically a spy for everybody. He was like a double agent spy to the Germans, to the French. Whoever would buy it, he'd buy it.
So
this is like the first Epstein.
This is super wild. Yeah, this guy's OG Epstein. Okay.
So this is one of the head guys of this secret society.
You have my interest peaked right now.
So now, but he bribed too many of the wrong people, especially in the Nazis, and so he bribed this high up SS officer, and then this motherfucker went missing, and later found that he died. Of course, because even in the SS, what's his name? Himmler?
Heinrich?
Yeah,
Himmler.
he was the guy that was in charge of the SS. He was highly involved in occultic practice, with the Thule Society and all that. Now, Hitler, they don't have any hard evidence that he was a part of society, but they look at all his officers and generals and stuff that were around him, and a lot of them were attached to these secret societies. Why? So when we have service to self, I want you to talk about this. When we have service to self, we have secret societies. We have us feeling that we're better than everybody else. We have our race thinking that we're a superior race. This is where Hitler got this stuff from.
Correct.
So people need to understand this. This is where spirituality can go awry.
Right. It's like what we want to do is we want to create this hierarchy of knowledge and evolution states to say that we should be the ones in control. We're the ones that should only have this knowledge and disseminate it when it's ready, when we're ready to give it to others, right? If we want the ability to do space travel, if we want these super weapons, all this stuff, whatever it might be, right? Or control of our aging, we're going to keep the knowledge for all this stuff and then give it to the public only when it benefits us. And we're going to use that. We're going to create structures and system and political ideologies, all fundamentally around this service to self, spiritual nature that we're looking at. And then from that, we can be like, okay, this is how we're going to do this. This is going to run our political campaign this way. This is why we're going to go to war. All because all these people want to have this advantage. They want to feel like they are better than everyone else, and that people should be working for them in this fascist, socialist, what do they call it? National Socialist Party, ideology that here's the elite group and everybody else is working for that elite group because the elite group knows best. They're going to determine how the resources get spread. They're going to tell us what we need to do. And for them, what better way as this new formed group to say that we are the people that are most evolved? Oh, we're the only ones that can converse with these higher spiritual extraterrestrial beings, which was happening in the Vril Society.
And we're the only ones in our pure race. We're the only ones that are able to have this Vril energy.
That's what they were saying. And so, good for them.
But here's the crazy
That's like
part.
saying we're closer to God. You know what I mean? Like
it's the
every
same
other
thing.
religion had done.
Guru, pastors, priests, whatever it may be, bishops. But here's the crazy part about this. And don't think that this isn't happening now in any of the countries. We have people listening globally.
Yep.
Philosophers, scientists, political leaders, mystics.
Yep.
They were, and science is scary because you look at this and you can see this now, what's happening. They were all involved in these secret societies. The high up elite We're all involved. So do not think that Cambridge University or MIT, that there's this kind of shit going on now. Do not think that you are naive to think that there are
stopped all of a sudden
service to self organizations that are out there being influenced by extraterrestrials.
They're still there.
Yeah, military industrial complex, the list goes on.
Do you remember we had Jim McCarty on the show, from the Law of One, the group? What did he say? He said that you need to have at least 3 or more people to get a contact with an extraterrestrial group. 3 or more. Every time this Vril Society would get together to do their seances, or essentially their contact with the extraterrestrials from a specific part of space, what they did, they would always have 3 or more people hanging out in the room, and then one person who is the dedicated channel. Do you have that lady's name?
Yeah, I had it in here. I've read her book. I knew it off. I just thought of it in my head.
Absolutely.
It's like a madam.
Absolutely
look it up.
Beautiful, exquisite person.
Yeah, and like Henry Ford was mesmerized by her. Thomas Edison was in love with her. She would get people to fall in love with her. And Hitler used her as his psychic medium. He believed in that. He believed in mediums and stuff like that. And she was part of the Theosophical Society.
What the heck was her name?
And she believed like she was being channeled by extraterrestrials, which was probably true. Is just service to self.
Well, because what did they
negative?
Get? Many of the earlier drawings or technology for the Glocken,
yes,
which was like that bell-shaped anti-gravitic object, came from the earlier channelings within these groups. So if you have this really strong service to self energy, what are you going to channel? Service to self, malevolent beings that don't really give a shit about your best interest. They're going to give you things for more control, more isolation, more divisiveness between specific groups. And they're going to want you to feel like you're superior. They're going to want to tee you up with a little bit of this stuff.
Well, I mean, service to self can also be used. We do not be so naive to think that these entities did not give technology to. I mean, we had the same German scientists. We just did our paperclip episode is booming like crazy. In like one day, we had like 1,600 downloads.
It's great.
Off of this. So Operation Paperclip that we talked about with the German scientists is huge. Don't think that the United States did not have. We pulled a bunch of these German scientists, these Vril believers, and brought them over here to create weapons of mass destruction.
These guys are putting together the tech.
That's service to self at its ultimate.
Yeah, they were putting together tech that was channeled through a lady in a seance group.
Yeah, and then Hitler and his they believed that they could use these psychic energy to power these these flying saucers, these crafts that they created. People don't realize all that.
We got the same thing today. What do people want? They want a technological weapons advantage. It's the same thing we had back in the 40s. It's just stuff's getting a little bit more advanced, right? And as more of these things creep up, things that are like frozen under the ice, you know what I mean? Like in these societies, they channeled information that there were other groups underneath the ice.
Right.
In the Arctic, in the Antarctic.
Well, Thule, the word Thule, the Thule Society, Thule means the farthest north.
There you go.
So
it's a Nordic word, isn't it?
Yes, it's a Nordic word, and they believe that with the Aryan races that there were these extraterrestrial people, that there was a mass flood, which all societies talk about that, and that these Aryan special race went down subterranean, and then from there they had this real power, and that they could be that. I'm not saying any of that does not exist. Whenever we start separating people out into what you had talked about, subcategories, and you're better than I am, then we're getting into service to self instead of service to others.
No, because it is an anti-unity principle.
Yes.
There you go. It's a very untruthful principle. Right? You can say that people are different, but you're inextricably interlinked.
Well, you talked about that with the peace symbol.
Well, yeah.
People don't even realize it's not unity.
No, the peace symbol is the opposite, right? It's an elder Futhark. I think it's an algiz or something. I don't know what it is, something like that. But it's actually the symbol of death, which was later adopted by the Nazi cult, cult groups, like death cult groups. So that symbol, we're all passing around saying, "Yeah, peace." Well, why wouldn't I make the peace sign like this with my fingers pointing to the ground? No, we do it pointing to the sky. Growth, evolution, striving. That's what creation is. But this is death. It's the total opposite. How is that possibly the symbol of peace?
Well, and also you can look at it and I think this is so important in looking at ideology that leads to technology. And I want to talk about this because, I mean, you're CEO of Tartle, and we're dealing with the technology that's decentralizing a lot of things. And I want to talk about this. Whenever you had Nazi ideology, and that led to technology.
Yeah.
So not to think that our technology now, I'm really skeptical on centralized technology or groups of people getting together somewhere and deciding what humanity is what technology we're going to do and how we're going to move it, even climate change. And that, we can use that because that's really popular right now.
Okay.
So now you're getting carbon credits and you're doing all these things and these companies are ESG and all that. And then you're looking at, wow, $1 trillion was spent on that. Where did all that money go?
Where did it go?
Who's it going to? And are we using climate change to, feed? And the planet needs to be, obviously, we only got, so much. I mean, if we're going to separate ourselves from nature, separate ourselves from evolution, and then think, it reminds me of the Tower of Babel, that old story in the Bible.
Build.
We're going to be like God, and we're going to build the tower to the highest point.
That's our tech.
And that's our tech. And so what God did in this story is he changed languages because everybody had this one unifying languages. So then confusion was brought, and then it stopped that. And I think it's so important nowadays when we have this hypothetical view of pride, basically is what it is, instead of humility.
Yeah.
And we say, I'm going to change the ideology and the narrative, whether it's far right or far left or whatever it is. And then from there, we're going to base our technology off that ideology. It's scary because this is what happened with Nazis.
Yeah, we just have a different evolve. And now we're using like algorithms online.
Yes.
What's a great way to push out an ideology? Well, this is how I think people should be receiving information, so we're going to drive it to them in this format.
We already found that out with the latest AI, these AI platforms. Who's programming them? Yeah, they're finding out that they're typing in people from different backgrounds, and the AI is telling you this answer, and that's supposed to be this powerful artificial intelligence, and it's giving a bent. Whether it's left or right bent doesn't matter. Instead of giving you the truth, we're already seeing this ideology being pushed into AI, which is our next great technology.
Are untruths. And when we start to plague it with this polarizing, divisive, untruthful, anti-creational energy that's only for the benefit of a select few rather than the greater whole, we're going to have ourselves the same damn problems we had before. And our tech will just flourish to the point of creating confusion and splitting people up, and then there's no evolution that comes from it. At the point, the Vril and the Vril Society and the Theosophical Society, all of these different paths we took, these ideologies, people were thinking it was going to help them advance. But really what it did is it was creating isolation, and then any sort of growth in the technology wasn't actually getting the same one-for-one payback on growth in human beings.
Yes.
We had, in the 1940s, we had a great world war, right? World War II. Bunch of people died. We've had all these advances in technology, but guess what? We're still going to war. We're not actually learning anything. That we're not really refining our focus and finding unity and understanding amongst ourselves. We're just, again, creating more separation and misunderstanding. We're isolating the technology. We're literally creating this broken, fractured, synthetic world that is not helping us.
Separate from creation.
Totally separate from the thing that allows you to exist. You are trying to separate yourself as much as you can from it.
And you can see it just in the way that we've abused the soil. This is a prime example. We're destroying the environment so rapidly because of seed oils. We're destroying the Amazon jungles, at a rate of like acres and acres a minute, all because of us feeling like we have these and we saw it with the buffalo, here in the United States. We think that there's this unlimited resource, and here's the problem I have with climate change, with the models that are out there now, especially, is who does it benefit?
Yeah.
We're supposed to sacrifice. I'm not going to tell somebody that's barely making it, that's at poverty level in India, that they need to save their carbon.
Yeah,
and stop throwing trash in the river.
most of that country is still burning biomass.
We have the pleasure in UK, these developed countries, we have the pleasure to be like, oh yeah, I think I'll drive a Tesla or a Prius instead of.
We consume so much.
Yes.
And we continue to have more human beings.
But this ideology is what I'm getting at. Who suffered? The Jewish people.
Right.
In this ideology that we're experiencing now, and I'm just using climate change example, but we could take so many.
It was first
Who's
the Jews,
suffering?
now it's the poor.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm
Right?
getting at.
It was the Jews. Then it was black people with the slavery. And then now it's the poor people with the global economy, right? And now the people that are really suffering are the ones that are just sick,
Yes.
physically sick.
Because they followed this ideology, we're sick. Why is the planet so sick?
Everything's sick. The people
Because it's following this ideology
that's
of
false.
humanism without any type of spiritual context whatsoever and understanding who we are and what we're supposed to be doing. That's why I always think of these highly evolved other alien species. People are like, why didn't they contact us? Why didn't they contact us? Why?
Why would they? We've created this absolute synthetic, disgusting mess.
That's what they look at it as.
And we're not taking
It's
responsibility.
like, well, we'll intervene when they try to blow themselves up. But other than that,
Other than that, we're just going to leave them.
yeah, they're just monkeys. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
People are like, come save me. It's like, no, figure it out yourself.
Well, that's what you would do if you're high.
I wouldn't even want an extraterrestrial group to come down and save everybody. That'd be ridiculous.
It's not
No
it's-
lesson learned.
There's no lesson learned. Yeah, and I think to wrap this up, one of the things that I want us to talk about in a spiritual sense and a very personal sense, and you can talk about this. How do you not fall into the trap of these ideologies? Like you as a person, like how can you? What are some like a step or two steps, just real quickly as we close, that can, and I'm not saying fight.
No. Step one. Does this ideology create some sense of fear in you? If it does, don't follow it. Does this ideology influence your decision making where it's actually corrupting your free will? If it does, don't follow it. Okay? If the ideology can't be tested in nature and find the same principles in it, do not follow it.
Yes, it's so good. Yeah.
Those three simple things will help you refine the bullshit out of your life and focus on the things that are actually truthful and creational. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and I think the main one is this serving others?
Sure. Because
Or is it serving self or that ideology?
what does the sun do? Serves everybody.
Doesn't matter. You've told me that
Regardless.
since I first met you, and it's like the tree.
Yeah.
Who does it provide shade to?
It gives shade to the murderer and also another tree at the same time. It doesn't give a shit. It's giving shade.
Yep.
Because it realized the greater benefit of all of us in unity, making our choices, but understanding that we have the ability to have that choice. Shade freely given to all. Sunlight freely given to all.
Love and light to all.
Love and light to all. Everybody, thank you very much for joining us today on Higher Density Living, and we look forward to having you join us again soon. Thank you.
Tartle.co.